Gentlemen, how are we feeling today? Is the energy a little low? Have you all had our coffees and teas in the morning? Yes? We are well rested from the night? Are we good to begin? All right. So a very, very warm welcome to all of you. May I request you to share whatever views you have about the event on all of your social media handles. And whenever you're doing that, you can use the hashtag Power of Data, POWER, Power of Data in one go with the hashtag, and let's begin. So I thank you all for patiently waiting. Let's have a big round of applause as we start the Power of Data Summit 2022. I'm your host, Kaustav Bhattacharya. So sit back and enjoy this interesting and thought-provoking summit, which is the Dun & Bradstreet Power of Data Summit 2022. Data is in the DNA of Dun & Bradstreet, and we have been serving global clients for over 180 years with data-related products and solutions. Dun & Bradstreet globally conducts multiple events under the banner, The Power of Data. DNB recently conducted webinars, and so far we have released 88 podcasts. That's correct. 88 podcasts that you can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you can just look up Power of Data, and you will find all these podcasts. These events help to understand the perspectives of business and industry leaders who share their passion for the power of data and analytics, which helps to unlock the value of data for businesses around the world. As far as DNB operations go, we have been supporting clients for over 25 years, providing data-related products and solutions for finance, sales and marketing, third-party risk and compliance, as well as ESG intelligence. This motivates us to launch an event exclusively focused on data by bringing various stakeholders on one place and on one platform. The world is changing faster than ever, leaving companies to continue experience uncertainty within their business. To grapple with business uncertainties, companies small or large are pivoting their business approach to data and analytics to better understand their customers, suppliers, creditors, and the overall industry ecosystem. This understanding helps businesses to succeed in this uncertain and volatile market today. Data can tell us a vast amount about an organization's strengths and weaknesses. Do we all agree? Everything comes back from that same data, right? It has a potential to unleash everything from new business models to informing pandemic response and helping achieve a net zero climate goal. Hence, today's summit is very aptly phrased, the Power of Data Summit. Are we all ready to unleash the power of data? Yes. Are we? Yes, we're all people who take our decisions based on data, right? All right. It's a great privilege for me to be a part of such an inspiring and motivating summit today. I take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our panelists who will be coming on stage today throughout the day and key dignitaries who have joined us for this summit. Before we proceed, again, one more reminder, in case you're sharing anything on social media, do use the hashtag Power of Data. So to begin today's summit, I would like to welcome our Managing Director and CEO of India for Dun & Bradstreet, Mr. Avinash Gupta. He's a great leader and a thorough professional with a keen eye and focus on execution of, yes, let's please round of applause for him. He's a great leader and a thorough professional with a keen eye and focus on execution of strategies. Mr. Gupta holds the reign of Dun & Bradstreet's go-to-market strategy and business operations. With more than 3 decades of experience and a vast global network of business relationships, Mr. Gupta is an inspiring role model, not just for us colleagues, but also his compeers. Dear guests, can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Gupta?
Thanks, Kaustav. Can everybody hear me? I can hear myself. So, good morning, everybody. And now that Kostav's given away my age by saying how many years I've worked, I've got no secrets to keep. Thank you. I think there's a couple of you guys standing at the back there. There's some chairs empty in the middle here if you'd like to come by and sit down. So, first of all, thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to be here. And I guess, for some of us who are cursed with traveling a lot in life and spend a lot of time in hotel rooms like this talking. It's good to be doing more of that. I came to this hotel and actually spoke at an event on the other side of this same corridor a couple of months ago, and we were still wearing, a couple of us were still wearing masks then. So it's good not to be doing that. So good to be here. As Kostav said, this is our first Power of Data event, Pod Summit as we call it. And when we were discussing among ourselves where we should do it, we all thought we should do it in Bangalore. So power to you, all you guys in Bangalore. And we hope that with your support and, and good wishes, we can make this a regular feature. So it's the first of many, hopefully, and hopefully it's a journey for all of us. Kostav talked a lot about Dun & Bradstreet and what we do. In terms of the data insights, the data strengths we have, and maybe I'll touch upon that as we go along. Again, thank you for being here today, and let me get started. So I think, maybe just looking back at recent history, in terms of, if you go back a couple of decades, for all my sins in the world, I used to be a banker. I was talking to some of you this morning. I used to be actually an investment banker, which after the global financial crisis was a dirty profession to be. I used to do actually equity capital markets just before that time. So if you guys remember stock markets, and all of you guys, I guess, invest in stock markets, the largest companies in the world, most of them actually, the 3 largest companies out of the 5 largest companies in the world used to be companies which dealt with oil. And I guess you can guess those names, ExxonMobil, British Petroleum, China, CNFC, and Shell somewhere below. So, it's amazing, the FTSE 100, which is the leading indicator, the index for the London market, like NSC and the BSC. The FTSE at that point in time used to have BP, Shell is dual listed and was dual listed at that point in time, used to have telecom, Vodafone, and of course the banks. I used to work for HSBC, Barclays. If you counted all these guys together, the FTSE weightage among just these 3 industries used to be close to 60%. And that is how the world was, right? That's the sectors which dominated. And when you come around to today, when you look at the largest companies in the world, they're really not, they use something else as fuel for their growth and their earnings, which is data. So actually as Kostav said, 3 decades of working, the world has changed a lot. And all the new names you're very familiar with, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, everybody wants Alphabet, everybody wants to have a name starting with an A. It gets you a lot more priority in life. So Avinash also gets me a lot more priority in life. So I think just to demonstrate how the world has changed, you guys want to sit down? So maybe just moving on quickly, in terms of estimates of data, I think IBM put out a number that, the world produces something like 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. So quintillion, I guess most of us on a day-to-day not familiar, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion. So it's one with 18 zeros on it, and 2.5 quintillion bytes of data is what is produced every day. So that's a lot of volume. And I guess in the Indian context as well, we are looking at, with all the digitization happening in the country, the usage of data around everything, which I think India is leading in many manners, is leading to a lot of explosion in the industry. And we've got some estimates in terms of market size, $120 odd billion by another 5 years or so in terms of what the size of the industry would be. So I think there's no denying the benefits, which come across industries, business units, and processes by using data, more data, better data. And obviously the COVID-19 pandemic just accelerated everything for us all individually, I guess as collectively as society, and obviously as businesses as well. And who knows what that leap is, right? Is it 3 years, 5 years, who knows? But it clearly has accelerated all of that. So, in terms of harnessing this curve, maybe, we took a shot at looking at 5 possible avenues where we see the impact happening a lot. The first, obviously, is tapping into untapped markets, right? So for us, at Dun & Bradstreet globally, the MSME world is a very important world. And even from an Indian context, we were in Delhi yesterday. So the gentleman who's going to close the conference for you is my boss, a guy called Neeraj Sahai, who's our president international based out in the US. He's going to be here in the afternoon closing it. So because he was in the country, we are in Delhi meeting the government. And it's interesting when you talk to the government in terms of, what the government wants to do in the run-up to 2024 and beyond. I mean, the jobs primarily which can be created and the growth which can be had is really around the MSME world, right? And for us at Dun & Bradstreet, MSME globally is very important because we really help MSMEs get 3 basic things in life. One is to look credible, with our DUNS number and giving them some visibility and credibility. We help them try to get better financing. And, for MSMEs, again, what's important is access to new markets. So, just get new markets, right? So MSMEs is an important world for us. So when you look at MSMEs in the Indian context, only 20%, and that number of MSMEs is also very differing number. So when you talk to the government says, there are 95 million MSMEs in the country. Other guys will say there's some 63 million. We've got in our Indian database, and Kaustav kind of referred to that in broad terms, we've got 26 million entities in our Indian data cloud. So 26, we've got this concept of the DUNS number. So we've got 500 million DUNS number globally, and we've got 26 million in the Indian data cloud, which is a very large number, 26 million. Our colleagues in China, Andrew, they've got 80 million entities in the China data cloud. Now, the Chinese economy is like 5 times our size. So gives me a benchmark. The 26 number is quite a very decent number. And maybe 93, 95 what the government has is people who maybe, make biryani at home and sell it, but really don't have a permanent establishment or things of that kind. So 26 million entities, out of that really, and out of this very large number, very few percentage of them really have access to formal credit. Now you can see the power of data in terms of people getting better access to credit, which can just change lives, change businesses. So that's one good example where we believe that, this data, this whole business of dynamic data, I don't know if some of you might follow it more closely, but the availability of a GST pull, the availability of a banking account statement pull, the availability of your bureau pull, and the availability of your income tax pull pretty much gives anybody who's wanting to do business with you a good sense on really what you are doing in life. So even if I'm a supplier to a large corporate, or I'm a bank or an NBFC lending to you, I have a good idea if I get this information as to really what your business is. What is your, who are your largest customers? Where do your cash flows go? Where do you buy? And maybe when Hitesh talks about other things, you can even get a sense of what your carbon footprint is. How much do you spend on fuel? How much do you pay for electricity? And all of that, ESG again being very important for us, right? So again, the data bit allowing you to really get better financing, which can change an SME's life, change an SME entrepreneur's life. So again, in the world, Bangalore is very familiar with the fintech world. The fintech world using data much better in terms of just getting access to credit for a whole bunch of new borrowers, effectively, new to credit borrowers, as we call it in our world. The second thing, obviously, is around efficiency and optimal utilization of resources. Again, better data. When we talk to MSMEs, the surveys we do, the data allowing them to optimize cost, reduce cost, and again, getting that data in a fungible manner and a good manner is something which is obviously a lot more important to them. The third bit from an Indian context obviously is governance, e-governance globally as well. You know, the whole reduction in leakages around, you know, direct benefits, the whole Aadhaar thing. Again, in Delhi, they're very proud of that. And, you know, that obviously helps in terms of managing the ecosystem better. Even in the global context, you know, COVID was everywhere. So every government gave out cash. Maybe the Western governments may give out too much money in terms of, you know, the whole bit on compensating people on their compensation, which didn't happen in India, but in the US and Europe, everybody sat at home for a very long period of time and got 80% of your salary. And we all have a problem with getting them back to come to work now. But that whole direct benefit thing happened in that part of the world also. So again, data and governance and, you know, loans given, there were loans given not only in India, but elsewhere to SMEs, and the whole business of around the money going to the right company, not a fraud. Again, data helping manage all of that. So the e-governance bit, and obviously then in terms of, you know, the data allowing you to capture customer preferences and provide recommendations, you know, transactional point of sale data, obviously allowing marketers to decide who wants what, change preferences, change the mix. Again, very powerful. So I don't know if you guys follow, you know, some of the clients we have, which is people like Unilever and stuff. You know, they're really changing their product mix. We met with Mr. Suresh Narayan, who's the chairman and managing director of Nestle, day before yesterday. You know, Nestle, you guys follow Nestle? So Nestle's turnover in India is around $2 billion. The market capitalization is around $20 billion. It's 10 times sales. It trades like a tech company. Mr. Narayan became the CMD after the Maggie fiasco. The stock price was 5,000. We were talking about your stock price at Quest was 5,000. Now the stock price is 20,000. So, you know, these companies are done exceedingly well, and they use data very, very well in terms of, you know, what's really happening in their product mix, who do they get as new distributors, new markets, things which we kind of help them in. So again, data been very powerful. And the last example I would give is around sustainability maybe. You know, sustainability is becoming very important. The whole business of ESG, which may not be very familiar to an average person, the whole impact to an environment. And that really is around emission really, right? I mean, if you can emit less, then your impact on environment is less, and hopefully we are all under less than 2 degrees, which we are not hopefully there right now. The whole impact on the social bit and the governance bit, the whole sustainability bit. And again, maybe Hitesh may talk about it, cover it a little bit. Neeraj will really cover it in the end as well. The whole business of data around ESG and how to manage sustainability well. Again, if you have better data, you can better manage that. And these are issues not only for large companies, but these are going to be issues even for SMEs as well. Because SMEs really sell to a big company. So this morning we was talking to somebody, I think, who had worked in Siemens, Atos Siemens. Now Siemens needs some ESG compliance. We were talking about GE. So if you're an SME, you need to have some ESG markers or benchmarks to deal with your large clients. Again, if you don't have data, you really can't do that. So we've been working a lot in the Indian context. So we've got scores on large number of Indian companies, ESG scores. We've got products which help you give credibility around ESG, which allow you to do business with large customers. And then with people like SIDBI, who really are lenders to the small MSMEs, we've launched a sustainability perception index. So we're working in our own way to make data usable to the large financiers, to large corporates, at the same time to small enterprises as well. So far, so good? Yeah? Good. So that's really the objective of this Power of Data Summit, is really, to look at some of what's happening in the world, what are large companies doing, what are leading companies doing to solve some of these challenges, and then how do we apply some of this to real life. So it really needs a new think, and we believe hopefully this pod summit will be helping in that context. And obviously it requires a lot of your thoughts and participation as well. So the summit is going to follow on three major themes. The first obviously is data strategy, the second is data development architecture, and the third is deriving meaningful insights. Now, on the data strategy side, we're going to cover topics relating to data framework for an organization, including data-related policies, principles, governance, strategy, and how do you meet your goals and objectives as a company, large or small. On the data deployment architecture, we're going to be referring to building of physical infrastructure to create business impacts, identified by the strategy you put together. And the third, obviously, is meaningful insights, which help you understand to extract things on a timely and accurate basis. Kaustav talked about DNB. You know, we've been around 180 years. 180 years is a long time. In our history, in our coffee table books, we say that 4 US presidents worked for Dun & Bradstreet, including Abraham Lincoln, which kind of boggles my mind. He was a credit clerk before he went into politics. And you know, if you look at Dun & Bradstreet history, we've, over time, Cognizant was part of Dun & Bradstreet, which spun off from Dun & Bradstreet. Moody's was part of Dun & Bradstreet, spun off from Dun & Bradstreet. So maybe, and there's many other things, Nielsen and stuff like that. So maybe when I look back at management, they obviously had data, but maybe the insights from the data they took away was wrong. You know, maybe I would have kept Moody's, I would have kept Cognizant in the framework. So you have data, but the insights from it is where really is really more the art than the science. Yeah. So do keep that in mind as you go along. You know, along with some of the panel discussions, you got one right after me, which will cover these themes. You know, there's lots of interesting thought leadership and fireside chats from some industry leaders to give you a 360 perspective. So do push on that, do question that. And obviously from, you know, a Dun & Bradstreet perspective, our idea, as I was saying, is not only data, but is to give you insights on the data, to give you, you know, things which flow out in things like ESG, things which you can possibly deliver through our platforms, through our products, and through our customized solutions. So that's what we are hoping to do. As I mentioned, we've been here 180 years. We've been in India 27 years. We cover this 500 million companies globally in our data cloud. We service 90% of the Fortune 500 companies. So there must be hopefully something we can do for each one of you in the room as well. And you know, as you go through and if you look at our websites and stuff, you'll see that, you know, we've got lots of ideas and solutions around. I touched upon finance, I touched about the supplier side, the compliance side, the procurement side, and obviously the sales and marketing side. So maybe with that, I will conclude. Thank you for your time. I got a chance in the morning to meet a few of you, and I hope that we will all get a chance to meet each other, and long may COVID be dead. And hopefully that, you know, at the end of this conference, we are a lot richer, and in terms of knowledge and in terms of our network. We will look, as Kaustav said, for your feedback on how to possibly make this an annual thing, which we could. And really, I think if we get some ideas going, it'll help us do that as well. So thank you. I wish you a good day, and look forward to catching up with hopefully each one of you. Thank you.